All right, I'm recording, and so you guys should have the file open now. I didn't force you guys to open the. Remember how we have on Canon cameras we have the CR2. Some of you guys should have that file. Now you could start off with that one. I'm not going to. I'm just going to show you that you could, because that is the what we call an RAW or raw format, right? On a Nikon, it'll say NEF, but it's still basically the same thing. So on that one, if you were to open it, what's cool about that format is it really captures a lot more information. Uh, oh, this one's sideways. Hold on. Oh, okay. So if you open up the CR2 or NEF, you'll notice that you have all these options right away to fix some of the stuff, like say it was underexposed or overexposed, right? You can do a lot of adjustments. We're not going to go through this full thing right now. I gave you guys a JPEG, but just so if you want to, right, you could do that. There's built-in filters like black and white right away. Uh, there's just so many things, and we will go over this later. There is a lot of stuff you can do. All right. Uh, but you can basically edit it within the raw format, and then say that you're done. Say that I wanted to increase the warmth, right? Like the blue. It's going to be hard to see up on the screen, but you'll see it on your computer. All right. But again, you could do raw format, and then you say open, and it'll open it in Photoshop. Okay. I'm not going to go through that. Okay. And then you would do your edit as you need to in Photoshop. You can see it's right there, but we're not going to do that one. We're going to do the JPEG that I gave you and try to follow along. There's not a lot. It's very simple. But again, you can take a very so-so image. You can take a very so-so image and do this little filter that we're going to do and make it nice, right? All right, here's the one I gave you guys. Excuse me. Sorry. All right. So to begin with, we need our layers. We need our history. All right. And in this case, we're going to use one called properties. Also, if you don't have properties, have this properties. All right. So layers, history. Remember, history is the one that allows us to see where we are from beginning to end. Remember, this one only works while you're working in the Photoshop file and before you close it and save it, or don't close it and save it, right? Command minus, command plus. Remember, Photoshop, our extra gray area around here is not like an Illustrator where it's like scratch area, you know? Remember, everything that exists in Photoshop is within the actual canvas area, okay? All right, toolbars. Go to Window. I think I have mine set on Workspace Essentials, all right? That one works for me, but if you don't see some of the tools I do, just like in Illustrator, you can select these. Say you were doing some motion graphics or painting, photography. When I do the photography one, it makes it a single one. Oh no, it's a double row, but it's got more of the spot healing brush and all that. But I just put it on essentials. All right, the default. Okay, so let's go to layers. First rule that I've taught you guys is go to your layers, double click right there where it says background, call that original, right? Command J makes a copy. That's Command J. And I usually tell you guys, turn off that bottom layer and even lock it if you want. I know it's like off and you're not going to mess with it, but if you lock it, it's even better, because if it's on and you try to do something while it's locked, it just won't let you. All right. So that's kind of like extra insurance to make sure that it's not on. All right. You guys ready? Huh? What happened? You okay? What happened? layers, double click where it says background. It'll activate it, type in original, then hit enter. I'll do it again, look up here. And then once you have it original, like this, right? Original. Yeah, you got it? Valeria? All right, yes? No, why not? Right here, layers, background, click on it, double click on it like that quick. It'll activate it. No? Okay, original. Got it? And then you hit enter, right? Or return. You got it? Valeria? Huh? Yes. Okay, so now Command J. Jota. You got it? Okay, now select the bottom copy, the original one, turn it off, and choose the lock. That way you keep it safe. You're not going to mess it up by accident or anything. All right, you got it? Select the top one. Make sure your top layer is selected. Yeah, everybody there? All right, so we're going to do, some of you guys may remember this from last year. Some of you guys that were not with me last year. So whenever you're doing any kind of portraiture, you typically want certain parts of the focus, and if it's not focused, sometimes you get the photos and the photo shoot is over. Say you're doing a wedding or a quinceañera, you only have that opportunity to capture those images, right? What if one of the photos that you wanted to use and your client wanted says, I want this one, but then you notice later when you open it in Photoshop, say the eyes aren't focused, right? And it's not very focused where you want it to be. And typically you want, obviously, the eyes, the lips, the nose, that should be your focal point on a portrait, right? We don't want that to be not focused. But every now and then you'll get something that is not focused. And if you look at his eyes, look deep into his eyes, right? You'll notice what's most in focus, and this happens a lot. It's his nose because it sticks out from our face, right? It's the farthest object and the closest one to the focus of the lens. All right. Now we have cameras, even your cell phones, guys. If you like this well enough, and when you take the actual picture, there's no movement of the subject or your camera, you get a lot of detail at this point. All right. You can even see some of the pores and stuff. But what you cannot see is some of his eyelashes, right? They're blurry. What do you guys think? Are they a little bit blurry, the eyelashes? Yeah. All right. And next time when we do some more of this, I'm going to show you guys, you can actually tell the camera to focus more on the eyes. It also depends on what settings you have it at, right? If we're shooting manual on this one, right? But the quick fix is this. Everybody ready? Top layer selected. Go to brush or B. B, brush. Okay. And I think I told you guys that were here last year. I literally bought like a whole Photoshop editing system from a top photographer back in the, I'd say late 90s, early 2000s. And I paid good money for like this whole, it was almost like a seminar in Florida. And this guy was a like top fashion model photo editor and photographer. All right. And this is one of the tricks. Now, I know you guys right now live in a very digital world and you take photos and you post them on your Instagram and a lot of content online. But you guys, and we've talked about this, you don't really output stuff, right? You don't really print a lot of stuff yet. But in the future, that may change for some of you guys, right? And when you print something, we have obviously very high quality printers at this point, right? Or say that you were doing a wedding event or a corporate event where people wanted, you know, real high, highfalutin business people, and they want these pictures taken, and then they want big giant pictures of themselves printed out, right? Do you guys think there's people like that like pictures of themselves printed out? Of course they exist, right? So if you wanted the ultimate portrait, you would want to make sure all these things are focused and sharp. So we got the brush, right? Now, what size brush do we have? If you haven't used brushes in Photoshop, you use your brackets. These are the two keys next to the letter P, bracket left and bracket right. This is when I tell you guys, make sure you do not have caps lock on. If you have caps lock on, the little green light on caps lock by the A, you will never see your brush size. And that's not a good thing if you're trying to do this, right? How do we check the brush hardness or sharpness? You go up here to your top menu. When you have your brush selected, click right here where there's a little sphere. You guys see it? If you have hardness of 100, move that down to 0. We want a soft edge for this particular edit. All right, doesn't matter the size. And to get out of that window, you just click on it again. See, click in, out. Okay, hardness 0. Okay, now let's go zoom into the eyes. And what would happen if I press the button right now? And I have black as a foreground color. Remember, in Photoshop, it's not fill and stroke, it's foreground and background. To do a stroke, we have to do another thing, but we're not doing that right now. So if I were to paint this, oh, we're literally spray painting onto his face, like if it were this wall and we're spray painting it, right? That is destructive editing. That means we're literally painting on it. We don't want that. Command Z twice. All right. Here's what we want to do. You want to go down here to the bottom of your toolbar with your brush selected, and there's this little guy right here, little window, has a little dotted circle. Click on it. This is what we call quick mask mode. This is creating mask in Photoshop, and we'll be covering more of that. Notice how the layer turned red. Make sure it's your top layer. And at the top of your file, it should say quick mask mode right there. If it does not, you got to try that again. All right. So we've got our brush, soft brush, hardness 0. Size doesn't matter, but then right here, we want to go to the quick mask mode. All right. Now check this out. I'm going to make the brush smaller, and I'm just going to start painting, and it'll look like transparent red, like we're sending him back to the 80s synth makeup. Now, don't get too much more than his eyelids. This one, he's got his hair crossing over. That's fine. Kind of like this, almost like the almond shape of his eyes. All right. So it should kind of look like that. And if you need to make your brush smaller, do that. It'll be more accurate, right? Don't be, I hate to say, but lazy, right? A lot of people don't like to click a few clicks, right? So everybody has it selected like that? Everybody? Yes? No? Maybe? Anybody having trouble? Make sure you just fill it all in like that. Right there. Don't worry, just go like that. You got it? All of it, all of it, all of it. See. All right, you guys ready? I know he looks like he's ready to zap you with a laser beam or something. Okay, let's go back to the same little icon at the bottom of your toolbar and click it one more time, and look what's going to happen, right? You guys that know a little Photoshop or more, whenever you have these lines, kind of zoom out, Command minus, this tells you that something is selected, correct? There's a selection going on, right? And the next action is going to affect whatever is in the selection. Yes? Everybody see it? Okay, right now, somebody tell me, what is selected? His eyes or everything else but his eyes? What do you guys think? Look at the selection. Everything else. Now, this is by default, but just so you guys learn, you can also do Shift Command I on any selection, and I'll show you guys what I mean by that. Shift Command I, you should be able to toggle back. Do not do Command I because it'll look weird. Shift Command I. Try it a couple times. Because if you do Command I, then you get this. You don't want that. Command I is invert. Shift Command I is invert selection. All right. So Shift Command I to only the eyes selected. There you go. You might have to zoom out to make sure, because if you're zoomed in, you can't tell. All right. Now, once you know you have the eyes selected, you ready? We're going to go up to Filter, Sharpen, Unsharp Mask. Filter, Sharpen, Unsharp Mask. Make sure that your eyes are selected. This window will pop up. Click on Preview. You can zoom out here. And you can actually look. It's gonna be hard to see on my projector, but on your screen, you should see that the eyes are getting almost like glass, like if they were glass. Now, you need to know how much is too much. I would say that's too much because it starts looking kind of weird. But threshold, I never move it above 3 when I'm trying to do this. And radius, oh, that starts looking really weird. I would say that's pretty good. I'm at 158 on mine, 6.8 on radius, and threshold 3. And you can actually see that. Now, can you see each strand of his eyelash? No. But you can definitely see that all this area that you selected is a little bit tighter as far as the pixels go. They're sharper. And the reflection of the eyes looks even glassier, right? Now, again, going back to people don't print out a lot of stuff. If we were to do a nice color printout here on the inkjet or even on our big printer and we're doing big prints, you could see the difference. And it's just natural with human beings when we do photography, right? You're going to look at the eyes and the mouth, right? We recognize faces automatically, right? And again, you might say, oh, it's not a big deal. No, it is at the end if you're trying to output this stuff. And it just makes it look a lot nicer. And people won't know why it looks so much better. So this is literally a pro tip on how to do that, okay? If you're into celebrities at all, like the Kardashians and all those people, right? Anybody that's ever been on a magazine or you see their photos, this is what they do to make them look perfect, right? There are very few of those people that look perfect in real life, all right? So this is how they do it. Some celebrities even have their own Photoshop people, just like they have their own hairstylists, right? They say, oh, I only want this person to edit my photos, all right? Okay, so we did the eyes. And if you want, you can turn off the top one and turn on the bottom one so you can compare. And you should be able to see quite a difference on yours, right? Okay, and I know that doesn't seem like a big deal, but it is. All right, I'll turn on the top one. And now we're gonna do the lips. Same technique, brush, enter quick mask mode, right? Make the brush smaller. So on the ends of the lips, it's gonna look like we're putting a little lipstick, little transparent lipstick. Somebody in the morning said, oh, this was kind of like the Joker. No, it's not that Joker. Anyway, there it is. I did it for the lips, same thing. Reactivate the selection. Shift Command I, same technique. If you want to double check, there it is. Shift Command I, only the lips, right? Filter. Now notice, whenever you do an unsharp mask or any of these filters, it'll leave the last one you did and the amounts ready for you to select if you want to do the same amount for the next thing that you isolated. So if you let go on that one, it'll do it to the lips. I don't know if you saw that. They kind of changed. Now, I don't know if you guys like to do photography of your family and stuff. For a while, I did a few portraits like of my grandma. I think I have some of my dad somewhere. I'm sure there's somewhere on an archive. But if you like doing photography, now's the time. You know what? I want to do some family portraits. I want to do some portraits of some of my family members, nieces, nephews, little brothers, yourself, so that in 20, 30 years, right, you can see some of these cool photos, right? You guys live in a digital age, not like me that came from the age of film. And you have something as an archive, right, to look at and look back upon, all right? If you respect your elders and stuff, right now is the time to take some pictures while you still got them, all right? Do some nice stuff. All right. So I did the lips also. Some people like to do the tip of the nose, but in this case, it's pretty sharp. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to leave it at that, right? Eyes and lips. Looks pretty nice to me. It looks very, very sharp. It doesn't look like fake yet, all right? And I know on your screens, it's going to look a lot nicer. I really like how the lights that we have set up on some of these, right? And again, some of you guys might need a little bit of adjustment, right? That's fine. Okay, let's hit save. Command S. And I'm going to call this one Daniel, or name it whoever. On yours, Daniel. Whoops. Ugh, I can't type on that. Daniel, edit, put your initials, right? And always save as PSD, right? When we're working in Photoshop. Don't delete layers. A lot of people like to delete layers and stuff. Don't do that. All right. We've had the discussion that you don't run out of memory anymore, right? We've got plenty of space to save files. Okay. So we did a little bit of unsharp mask. Now, believe it or not, nowadays, and I have that coming up, there are some free softwares online that use AI to sharpen a whole blurry image. And it works pretty good. Up until the AI revolution, you know, last year and a half, 2 years, that wasn't possible. But nowadays you can get an old picture like of your great grandmother or something from the 50s, and the AI will kind of generate, it's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be way better than we can do just a few years ago. All right. Okay. Last step. Anybody ever heard in photography a thing called a vignette? Yeah. So a vignette is darkening up the edges, right? To kind of emphasize more your subject, in this case, a portrait of somebody, right? In the old days, you would do it either with the camera settings, right? If you're shooting manual, and you could close down the aperture, right? The actual opening on the physical lens, right? They're like little fan blades, right? And if you didn't, the cool thing is you can do it post editing, right? Afterwards, digitally, and it's super easy. You guys gonna follow along? This one, some of you guys may be able to use it later. Okay. If you do any kind of photography, it's really a cool trick, and it just gives that image. I would say even more like the old film days, right? You can add this cool effect. All right, you guys ready? Go over here to your toolbar, and you're gonna select on the rectangle tool. Should be right here. And you can actually use any shape for this. It's kind of weird how it works, but rectangular is best for portraits. All right, you ready? Rectangle. Remember, don't worry that it's going to be a big black rectangle here. Go like this and just make it the size of the image, and you'll see a big rectangle, which is fine. Yeah. Everybody got that? No? Okay. So let's go back over here. Go to your toolbar, not the marquee tool, just the rectangle. And if you don't see it, it might be hiding under one of these. We got it? Yes? Okay. Draw it, and it's going to automatically, when you draw this shape, it's going to automatically put it on its own layer. Okay? Remember I said have properties open. If you don't see properties, we need that next. You won't believe how easy this one is. So window, properties. Everybody have properties? Yes? Okay. Now, notice in any layer, click on that layer, make sure that layer is selected, and have properties right here. Okay. And at the bottom of properties, there's a pathfinder, just like in Illustrator. You guys see it? Anybody not see it? Yes? Okay, this one, the subtract front shape. Click on that one. Okay, and it should make your rectangle look transparent. Now go back up to the top of that same properties panel and click on the mask that is now created. Watch this. If you click on the mask, that is this shape. And watch, move the feather up and look at the edges. And you're starting to get that. This is what we call a vignette. It almost looks like part of the lighting. And you can move the density. That kind of controls how dark it is overall. You can see, right? And this way it kind of just almost like if you're concentrating the light, almost like there's a backlight on the background too. And this just accentuates your image. It does darken up the edges a little bit, like towards the bottom, right? And now, right, we're even more focused on, hey, this is a portrait of this person. We've done the sharpening of the eyes and stuff, right? Okay, and then you can just click off on the regular arrow. And the cool thing about it, like usual, this is non-destructive editing. If you don't like the vignette, you turn it on and off. But look at just adding a vignette, how nice it makes it look, right? It almost, just the contrast is amazing, but it doesn't really mess with the center. Cool? All right, there's a nice vignette. Cool? All right, super easy, right? The last step is, of course, now that we have this, right? Now that we have this vignette, we can do any of the other things we kind of know already. Layer, new adjustment layer. You know how I love to do these because they are also non-destructive, right? You can always just turn them on and off. They're basically filters, like we said, like when you use your cell phone and you use some of those built-in filters. Say I do the black and white, right? And now I can do blend modes and it'll make it look muted without even trying. There's some really cool ones. One of the morning students did this, and I think it was exclusion. Hard mix. This one. Look at this one. I know some people were like, what? But when you think about it, like this, you could actually use, like, what if you threw it into Illustrator, did a clipping mask, and made it circular, right? You could create a logo with something like this, right? It's just so quick and easy to do this stuff, all right? These are just blend modes, non-destructive, right? What if you're doing a catalog for clothing for someone, right? And you have all your models dressed up, right? It doesn't have to be a portrait. It could be a full body shot. And you find one of these that looks really cool. It almost looks like a Polaroid, and you do the whole catalog this way, right? Accentuating, say, the clothing or shoes or whatever, right? I'm just showing you with a picture that is pretty cool. All right, so say I do this one, hard light. Let's do that one, okay? And then remember, you can move these as far as the order, right? Notice how that gives me a different look. All right, and if you don't like that one, you don't like that one. Do another one, right? Adjustment layer. We could do a photo filter, right? That adds some color. Look at that. So say that the color of the lighting wasn't warm enough or you want to change it, you just come in here. It's even bluer. Look at that. Pretty cool. All right, again, just very easy to do. All right. Okay. So you get the idea. Turn those off. Pretty nice stuff. And that's pretty much it. So if you do a vignette, even if you just do that, you save it, Command S, right? Make sure you save as a PSD, then do a file, save as, save a copy. And this is what I want you guys to do to the one you pick, whether it's sideways or forward. And ultimately, you save a JPEG. And then that final JPEG, we're going to drop it into our collage. And you're going to mess around with it to where it reveals as much as you want or not want. And we'll do that one next class. All right. But for today, just have that one done and ready. Okay. And that should be it. That's pretty much it. Cool. I was trying to think of something else, but I think that's it. Very simple edit. And again, you'd be amazed how, like, just a regular normal snapshot, you can do this technique and you'll make an amazing photo out of something that was just like kind of blah, right? Just by sharpening the eyes a little bit, lips, do a vignette, it just gives it this artsy look right away. Cool. Any questions? No? All right, it should look good on your screen. That's it. Very simple stuff. And let me stop.